Welcome to On the Couch with Dr. Diamond and Friends, where real conversations spark real change. Pull up a seat and get comfortable. You're in the right place. On the Couch is the space where Black and Brown communities come together to unpack the topics that shape our lives, our families, and our futures. Hosted by Dr. Diamond, alongside a powerful lineup of co-hosts, this show brings you honest, unfiltered, and deeply relevant conversations. From mental health and wellness to entrepreneurship and beyond, we cover a wide range of topics designed to stimulate your mind and spirit. The everyday realities we navigate. We're here to educate, empower, and elevate. Every episode is crafted to give you insight, inspiration, and the tools to move with intention. So settle in and take a breath. We're diving into the stories, strategies, and truths that matter. This is On the Couch, where we keep it real, keep it relevant, and keep it moving. Let's jump in.
Hey, good morning, everyone. It is April 18th. Hey, I'm looking forward to the second part of this conversation that we had 2 weeks ago. When I tell you it was a great conversation to have, I'm excited about us having this additional conversation, part 2 of what are you going to do for me? We got a couple of videos that we'll go through, so right now I do have Miss Toya waiting in the wings, and then of course we'll have our other co-hosts popping in as we go along. But, like we always do, welcoming everybody onto the couch. We're excited to have you here. It's a beautiful day outside. I hope everyone take advantage and start doing some things that they enjoy to do. Remember, take care of yourselves first before you can take care of anybody else. Enjoy your life. Enjoy doing things for yourself. So I can't promote that enough. So without further ado, I'm going to bring Toya on and, we'll catch up with her, see what she's been doing, and then we'll be talking about a little bit of current events that's going on, right now. So, and I see Mark popped on as well. So let me bring them on in. Hey, Toya. Hey, Mark. How you doing? How's everybody?
I'm doing good. How's everybody doing over there?
Pretty good. How's the weather over there in North Carolina? I know it's better than, we've been doing pretty good here in Jersey. Yeah. So how's it been?
It's hot. That's the best way to describe it. Hot.
Mm. And we got Blue today.
Yeah, we got Blue today. Yeah. I
invited like 90 degrees up here in the joint today.
Sent it over to him too. So yeah. Blue, how you doing? We can't hear you. Nope.
He thought he was ready.
Yeah.
Sometimes.
While he's getting his voice up, Mark, you said it's 90 degrees down there?
Yeah, it's supposed to be like around 90 degrees. It was hot yesterday. It's supposed to be hot again today. So hot is the key word today and everything. But it's supposed to have like a jolt to our system because it's supposed to be like around 60 degrees on Sunday. So we're going to have a jolt to our system.
Yeah, we're dropping down too.
Yeah, night is cold, but I love that day sunshine. I'm just trying to get that vitamin D.
Oh, yeah.
I'm telling you. I'm telling you. Yes. So, Blue, did you
microphone check? Can you hear me now?
Yes. Microphone check. Welcome. How are you?
All is well. Yourself?
Pretty good. I can't complain. Thank you for joining us today on this topic. We do have a new co-host. She'll probably pop on with us as well. And I know that Dean said he may be popping in too because he's doing something right now, but he's excited about this topic also. Mm-hmm. So he was like,
it was his idea, right? Right, Dr. Diamond? It was his idea.
Yeah, it was his idea. It was his idea, and I'm looking forward to him popping on as well and giving us some insight to this topic and what he thought about it. And actually, you can ask him, how did he come up with it? Because I just said I need a new topic to talk about, and relationships is something we can't avoid, because are technically all in different types of relationships throughout our lives, right? But the one that we seem to have more, and not all the time, but it can be trivial, is, you know, the intimate relationships, because it's just, you know, you're bringing someone into your life, you're going into that person's life. We're carrying baggage. Sometimes we think we don't have it, but then it pops up based on what, you know, what the situation is.
Triggers.
Yep, it triggers all of that. So, you know, we will delve into that. But before we do that, has everyone been watching what's going on with this guy in the White House and what he keeps doing? What
He's
is
just
his
crazy
problem?
because, like I said, the man. I mean, anybody's gonna sit there and paint images like he's Jesus Christ himself, then I'm already worried about the man. So he's got a serious Messiah complex going on, and all along those lines. Because he said that he was thinking he was a doctor, but I can't even see him as a doctor either. But because doctors are supposed to be out there to heal people, not to be putting out this turmoil and this craziness that he's doing and everything like that. And then he's going into a war with the Pope, which doesn't make any sense at all. And I do agree with the Pope that there's a lot of tyrants around the world, and it looks like the tyrants are the ones that are trying to control the narrative and everything like that, including the tyrant that we've got in our own White House that is doing crazy stuff with the construction of the ballroom and a lot of other things that he's doing. The man has just completely lost his mind.
He has. It's dangerous to me. We're in a very dangerous situation with him. But I will say this: people knew what it was going to be. This is not a shock. It's just when you voted. I guess when folks voted him in, they really thought this was going to be better. It's not better. He has a motive, along with the people around him. They all want to stay rich. That is their objective. It's nothing about poor people, the middle class. It's nothing about that. It is what they can gain. But look at the harm it's being caused to get where they're trying to go.
Yeah.
So, you know, that's my take on that.
Yeah, I agree. Thank you for that. Because even now on a financial thing, I work with seniors and folks in the mental health community and just trying to work with them through their financial situation. There's a lot of credits that were lost. One of the things is when you would go to the IRS website, everything used to be posted like a newsletter. This is what the credits are. You can't get that anymore. For example, there was a student that, you know, grad student just finished school. They used to give up to $2,500 for lifetime. Lifetime learning used to be $1,000. The Hope Learning credit was $2,500. Now they have it in the government for folks who are not aware. So this gentleman, I was talking to him, he says, Miss Toy, I don't understand, where's my money? I said, well, unfortunately, there's a law that if you don't have any tax liability, any credits that you would have received, they are no longer existent. So you have to pay attention. Folks are voting, and I'm glad that we had the platform today so I can say this, because you're trying to counsel someone. So how can you have a law? Everything that we were using that made the golden thread is changing. So that also meant it started after the when they had the stimuluses. Everyone got the stimulus money. Then there were some people who didn't file. They filed to get their money. Oh no, you owe us, you owe the government, so we're going to keep your money. So you get what I mean? It's just more so charging our mindset, and it's changing our rights. So when it comes down to the mighty dollar, so for anyone listening today, for the younger people, fret not. You know, when you fill out that W-4 form now, they're asking you, are you with dependents? If you have no dependents, then that means you're going to owe. It used to be 0, 1, or 2. So please don't put exempt, because then also look at your pay stubs online. Look at your federal withholdings. There are people making over $40,000 and getting hit. Okay, so just pay attention if you're on a paperless route. That's my soapbox on the government. That's what really matters, because right now you can't change what we voted for.
That's right.
Not to.
Yeah, but we can't do the thing around the midterms and all on those lines, because the midterms are coming up in a lot of ways that we can influence things in the midterms and maybe flip some of these other things. So right now he's got a stranglehold on a lot of the government, whether it's the House, the Senate, the Supreme Court, the majority of the governors, and a lot of other ways that he's got a stranglehold. So we can break that stranglehold by getting out there and voting in the midterms. I agree we can't do anything about getting him out of office, even though there might be some people that realize that he's got some mental and physical issues, and maybe they'll do an Article 25 on him and everything like that, but that is highly unlikely and all along those lines. I observed something earlier today, and I want to know if y'all observed this as well, because I had not really thought about this. But, you know, one of the ways he's making a lot of money is he's making a lot of money off of Bitcoins and everything like that, and off of the whole cyber currencies and all in that space. And I was actually, as you know, I get around by mass transit and get around by the bus and everything like that. And I happened to notice that one of the convenience stores, I think it might be one of the tiendas and everything, they actually had in their store a Bitcoin ATM. So I don't know how big those are in New Jersey and New York and everything like that, but apparently there's ATMs that will give you Bitcoins and everything like that. I did not go in there to see how it operates, and I don't know whether it operates or what the deal says it is, but I did just happen to glance over and I was like, wait a minute, they got a Bitcoin ATM? So I did not know how many of them are out there and whether they're popular in New Jersey, New York area or other parts. But have y'all seen people even using these Bitcoin ATMs?
Airport.
I haven't.
Yep, I've seen it in the airport. That's the only place I've seen it.
You seen it in the airport?
Yes, this little funny thing said Bitcoin. I said, oh, I don't have Bitcoin. So.
Wow. Who knew? Like, I really didn't pay that any mind. I know that they're trying to convert into Bitcoins. I also know that they're looking at the banks, changing the bank system as well, getting away from paper dollars. But when you think about it, we're halfway there because you can tap now with your phone with everything.
Yeah.
Hold on one second, guys. Okay, you all keep talking. Someone is calling me.
No, okay. Well, yeah, we can tap stuff with our phones. I actually had the pleasure. I don't know what Felipe is thinking about some of these issues as well, but I had the pleasure earlier this week on my show, the online dinner party, of talking to a cybersecurity expert and everything like that. And she told me something that is really scary and everything along those lines. I was even sharing it with my coworkers and everything, because we all know that we get those scam calls and everything like that, and they come on the phone and everything like that. But it's going to really get even deeper, because she said that we're going to have these scams come over where they're going to be masquerading like there's a loved one who's sick, but it's going to be a video call. So that just was like very scary to me, that you're going to be getting somebody that's going to be calling you claiming it's that same thing that we get on the phone now, that somebody is sick and they need you to send money. But this is going to be a video call with like a image of like somebody that's a loved one in your family. It might be your daughter or it might be your kid and everything like that, saying that they have been in dire need of money, like they oftentimes will do on those scams and everything like this. But what the added aspect of this is going to be, is it's going to be a generated video, like and that to me is even scarier, that they're going to do these video calls, because you're not going to get
candidate. I watched that the other day. Remember that when remember that part with before we had AI, they switched it and they put another person walking in there when they wanted to close that case. And it's ironic that you're saying that, because we have the capacity. Then there was something that I was watching. It says, oh, it was AI. It wasn't me. It was AI. So this is scary, Mark. But I do know that there has been capacity, because now looking at all of these old movies, I love sci-fi, Terminator. And just for me, I always say, when you have a hypothesis, you have to test it. Hey, baby girl. And so what happens is, in this particular case, it's just getting exposed to what we can do. Because there was a picture that I had and I posted, and they did something to it. It's my picture. They just did something to spring it up. So I shared it just to see. And someone was like, well, who was that? I said, that is me in the red dress. It just so happens that it was an upgrade. So thank you, Mark, for sharing that. So for the listeners on the couch, and I tell you, Lord help us. Blue, you over there working?
Yeah, deep thought.
So welcome. We have some testosterone today to talk about this topic. But again, I guess just to check in, Mark, what else is going on down there? Because you're in North Carolina as well, right?
Yeah, I mean, oh yeah. Well, I know one big thing that's going on in Durham, North Carolina right now is that we have a major festival. It's the Full Flame Festival. So I went downtown yesterday and the place was packed, because it's a major documentary film festival. Dawn Porter, who did a film on Luther Vandross, is going to be doing a talk later on this afternoon and everything like that. She's also done a film about Breonna Taylor and the reaction to Breonna Taylor's murder and everything like that. So she's a major filmmaker and everything like along those lines. But they've got films from all over the country. I actually saw one yesterday that was very touching and very sad. It was about some folks that were going on one of those exhibitions in the mountains and all along those lines. But this was like the mountains of Asia, I think maybe around Nepal and all along those lines and all along that kind of way and everything like that. But they were going on the very dangerous exhibition because out of the exhibition, 5 of the people were died on the exhibition, and they even showed them their bodies and everything like that, and they were literally buried in the ice. Some of them were buried in the ice because that's how. So a couple of the bodies they got off, and they were given more traditional burials, probably somewhere else. But there were a couple of them, they never got the bodies out, so they were literally buried in the ice of where they were at. So that was just a very sad movie.
We don't see, Mark. We see all this other news, and again, as Dr. Diamond opened up, it's distractions, and it depends on. For me, I don't want to be distracted. I know what it is, so now I gotta purposely put the positivity, because as Marlene E. Curtis said, gratitude is an attitude, and I think that if we all really thought it what matters, because again, the Constitution was our federal system, and now everything is changing. So I thought that was the purpose of us being able to vote, and now you're unwriting history. So at this particular point, that's what we really need to look at. That's our existence. The history that you're speaking of in my town here, rolled past the local library. I just hope they're not knocking it down. I saw, the little tapes up and everything. If this library gets knocked down, that's saying something, because usually you had to have, I believe it was a police station, a post office, and certain things for a borough or city to be established. So a library will be the history of that, and et cetera, et cetera. So I don't know. I digress.
No,
Does
problem.
anyone here have a local library in their town? I'm gonna ask that question because it may be.
There's a library here. There's a historical African American library, Stanford B. Warren, and everything like that. There's also our major library downtown that just went through some renovations. So maybe that's what they were doing in your city. Maybe they renovated it because there was a time that they were shut down while they were doing renovations and all along those lines. And now it's an even more intricate looking library. And I haven't been inside the library, I don't think, since the renovations, but I have been by the library because that was actually like a site of some of the voting activities and all along those lines. But I haven't been, I don't think, physically in the library since the renovations. But definitely that might have been what they've been doing, is doing renovations, because during the pandemic a lot of buildings went through renovations. We're even looking at doing a big multi-million-dollar campaign here at Hayti and doing some renovations where we won't just be this site, but we might even have a bigger campus and everything like that. So some people during the pandemic took a time to grow and to expand and everything like that. And there's some efforts that are even going on at this particular time and everything like that. So it'll be interesting.
Listeners, check your town and let us know right on this post. Does your town have a local library? Okay. Dr. Diamond, I think we're going to ask the questions, and then we're going to see, and then we can maybe deal with that later on, because I think you're going to get that author, the one that with the books outside down in North Carolina. He was giving the books every weekend or something.
Oh yeah, Reverend Paul Scott. He was an activist and everything like that.
Yes, I know it's the Backpack Book Brigade or something to that effect. I don't want to get it wrong. In respect to him. Yeah. But that was a movement.
We're going to bring him back onto the show too. But so let's shift gears, though. Let's get into our topic, because I'm pretty sure people are waiting to hear us talk about this topic. That's we can always get back to that. So again, this topic is about what are you going to do for me, and we're looking at part 2. Part 1 was really, really good. I hope those have gone back and watched it. I did check, and a lot of people did go back and watch the show, as they always do. Okay, so I'm going to reopen this conversation with the same question that I posed, and then there's going to be a series of other questions along with clips as well. So here is the question, the opener. When someone asks a partner, what are you going to do for me? What do you think they are actually asking for emotionally? Security, consistency, relief, or validation? So I'd like to hear what your response would be to this question. Again, that was posed 2 weeks ago.
And can you just repeat the options again? A, B, just do it again, please, ma'am.
I will repeat the whole question and the options.
Why
when someone asks a partner, what are you going to do for me? What do you think they're actually asking for emotionally? Security, consistency, relief, or validation?
I think all of the above. I think all of the above. That's what I think, because when you're in a relationship with someone, you need to know that you're going to be an extension. At least that's what my understanding of it is. You have to think male, female. The first duty was to procreate. And then from there, if you are a believer, the word says you have a helpmate. And it's supposed to be a relationship. So all week I was preparing for this topic, thinking about, and as things came into my life, situations, I would observe and respond, because I think sometimes we react and we don't respond. And that's really where it is. As you just stated, if the government is our whole, we are a portion of that. And just working in this field, and everyone here on this can attest to this, the folks that we encounter on a day-to-day basis, the US of A is hurting, period. So that means that it's going to trickle into relationships. And the only thing that we need to do is be emotionally conscious. So that means when I walk into this door, any room, let me check myself at the door before I speak to someone. So that question is loaded. Last week, 2 weeks ago, when you asked it, different scenario. This week, when I'm answering it, it's all the above. As we open up with the current events, that's the status of the world. People's relationships, jobs, finances are not stable due to the whole. We are just a portion of that. So I feel that a person is asking that question, before I go down this rabbit hole and open up and be with you, are you my person? Because I always say, are you my person? Do you really see me? And I'm going to go into this. I used to ask in my heyday, in my youth, I would say, oh, a person like me, you know, always a cheerleader, very athletic. I said, oh, are we going to be friends, platonic? You in a relationship, or we're going to see where this is going to go? I had to come up with those three things and look at someone. That was a question that I asked in person, not over the phone, because when you ask that question over the phone, anybody can pump smoke up your butt. So when I asked that question in person, I got to really know the person. However, you go to college, you graze up, you have a child, then you get over the age of 40, you stop asking that. So I said to myself, we need to get back to the basics. We always go back to the basic, the nuts and bolts, and to really
who's that? Okay. Okay.
So that's my answer. My answer is all of the above, because you need to check yourself before you even go in to that relationship.
Okay. Blue, I'd like to hear from you. What do you think about this? You know, these options, the question itself, what do you think?
I think it's a loaded question. And if a person has to ask that, do they even need to be in that relationship? Because if they can't already see it, if they can't already experience it, and they have to ask that of the person, then that relationship is already in peril. And it's a loaded question. What can I do for you? What can you do for yourself? What can you do for me is what I would have to ask. But like I said, I think that could be a loaded question. Luckily, I never found myself in that, because if they can't see by my words, by my actions, by my investment that I'm currently doing, now if this is something like you just starting off, meeting, whatever, then that too would be a loaded question, because, you know, let's grow to know, let's communicate, let's have conversations and discussions. That particular question just seems like they've been burned or they've been hurt a lot. Maybe they had poured too much into someone and they weren't poured into, and they try to set the parameter that I need to be poured into. How are you going to pour into me?
Yeah.
That was good.
Yeah, that was really good. Although it's a loaded question, right? The thing is, in reality, a lot of people are really going through all of these different ones, right? They're dealing with the security, is there consistency in the relationship, or that's what they're looking for? Relief. What relief is this person giving me, and what am I giving them, right? Because all relationships should come with some level of balance, but in reality, it's not happening for people. And even in our current relationships now, if you think about it, is it really balanced? Usually it's not always balanced, right? And then the validation, right? And then the validation is what are you validating? You know, because sometimes we can validate or condone certain behaviors because you're used to that person. You've been with them so many years, you begin to become conditioned to what they're doing. And then in the back end, you're like, this is really getting on my nerves, but you went with it. So it's just so much that comes with it. But then when we start talking about how people are looking or trying to use others, because when we begin to look at some clips, because I do have some clips that we're going to be watching and then evaluating along with the questions we're talking about, it'll bring us back to why we asked the initial question 2 weeks ago and now. Because what are people in relationships for? Is it to gain some level of materials? Mm-hmm. Is it to gain love from another person? Is it to gain companionship? What are you trying to really do? What is your objective when you start dating or looking for someone to walk with you in life? So these are the questions that we should also have in the back of our mind as we go along with this discussion. So now there is another point, and I'm going to go through series of questions.
Can we just pause for a second, Dr. Diamond? It's funny because I'm just listening, actively listening today. We all had different perspectives, right? And I think that's what it is. And I opened that way because that's what we're supposed to do. But Blue went into it more of a interpersonal level. But I just went in from the gusto based on what my experience is. So that in itself, 3 different people have responded and answered it differently. So that means all our minds are unique. Period.
Exactly.
Accountability is sometimes we don't want to be.
Right, and it is experience. Now I'm going to go to Mark because we haven't heard his response to this question, and then we're going to definitely look at a clip. Right. So, Mark, again, the question, I'm going to reread it and then you can give your perspective because we all just did. The question is, when someone asks a partner, what are you going to do for me? What do you think they're actually asking for emotionally? Security, consistency, relief, or validation?
I think in a lot of ways they're asking for all 4 of those, kind of like what definitely Toya said earlier and everything along those lines. But I think it changes with age and all along those lines as well, because I think that as we get older, we start taking it from a different relationship and everything like that. Because I think as you get older and as you are trying to reach a certain part in your relationships, I think that we all are looking for a life partner. And in that life partner, you're looking for somebody that's going to be supportive of you, and you're also going to be supportive of them as well and everything like that. So I think that that's something that a lot of times people are not as engaged in that thought when they're younger. Because when they're younger, they're oftentimes just thinking about the immediate impact and the immediate impact of the relationship. And that might be more of a materialistic kind of viewpoint and more of a what can you do for me kind of attitude. But I think as we get older, that it becomes more of a more contextualized kind of like conversation. It becomes deeper as we get older because you're trying to find somebody that you can ride into the sunset with and all along those lines. Because we all know that we are all finite beings and everything like that. We all have a beginning date and an end date, and there's always that talk about what do we do with that dash in between. And part of that dash in between is what we do with our relationships and everything like that. So I think as you get older, you start thinking about it more in the context of how can this person help the legacy, because we all are hopefully going to leave a legacy as well and everything like that. So that's just my immediate thoughts.
I agree.
Yes. Now, Blue almost he actually alluded to this when he talked about also what people are carrying with them, right, with the baggage. So this is the second question. Is it, and when you think about the first question I asked you, link them together. Is this question rooted in entitlement, or is it rooted in fear and past disappointment? So this is the baggage. Okay, so what are we asking for? So when you go back to those, security, consistency, relief, and validation, again, what is this question rooted in? Because there are people that feel that they're entitled to what that person has. Now that I'm in a relationship with you, I am entitled to that. Mark gave us that example 2 weeks ago when he said the person he was dating, the lady just went into the house. He never said, hey, we're going to get married. We're going to do none of this. She just saw what was there, right? The home. And in her mind, she's already entitled to it, right? That's a good example of entitlement. That I'm walking into this home and I'm entitled to everything that this person has. Or if they see the way you carry yourself, man or male or female, they see that you carry yourself well, you take care of yourself well, you you are a professional, and it doesn't matter what profession you in, because you could be a blue collar person, very professional, you take care of yourself well, but it's projected out. That person is watching you. Are they there for the right reasons, or are they there for their reasons? And that is, I'm entitled to have what that person has because they have it. So think about that question, and what is your response to this? Is this question rooted in entitlement, or is it rooted in fear and past disappointment?
Again, it's individualized. It depends on what the person knows, their motive. I never moved in life on motive, but I think that now with the disappointments that I have had, the heartbreak that I have had, again, I said publicly on my show, I did a prayer of removal. And what happens is sometimes we have things that are put on our plate. Again, this is my plate. I have to prioritize myself, or my plate is going to tip. And sometimes we have to be a little selfish. And I didn't understand that, because that's where the heartache comes in. So when you are saying that you're going to date someone, you need to do your inner work. And I think a lot of times we don't. Me as a cycle breaker, as a survivor of several things in my life, on the Butterfly Room, that's going to be next Friday at 8. We talk about that. And again, this is the movement of that. Today, we're going to the nuts and bolts of that. So individually, Dr. Diamond is trying to have you reflect on one's inner self. In order for you to evolve to who you're supposed to be and have your helpmate, if anyone is here as a believer, you read Proverbs 31. That is what the woman was supposed to exemplify. Then the man is in charge. I met someone that said to me, I don't care about your degrees. Why would you say that to me? Because at this point, then I know, speaking with you, Team Piercy, there's certain conversations that you respect one another. But that's where the thing comes in. You need to know the person's values. Because if you don't have those conversations, I'm old school, but now I know in part of life why you have to have premarital counseling. If it's going to be able to pay professional, Dr. Diamond, and we have Blue on here who does those services more the mental health, substance abuse. For myself, I have counseled couples. And again, I've said this before, when they come in, can you write down 3 things you want to work on? Just in that in itself goes with the motive, right? Someone says, oh, he don't pay these bills on time. I don't do this. So I'm looking at it. So when I gave those sheets back, once the 8 sessions were done or whatever it was, then they looked and I said, well, why you guys didn't speak to one another about this issue? You both went to bed every night with the same topic. That right there
because
starts
they
from
don't know how. Because I
Yeah.
think at times when people don't have clear examples of what that means to have conversations in relationships, because at times, and this is just human nature, you watch the way people respond to you in relationships. Yeah. Sometimes people feel like they don't have a voice in a relationship, so they cower back and say, you know what, if I say something, that person's temperament is like this, so I don't want to say anything. So this is why it's very important in the beginning of all relationships. The question should be, what is communication, and what is it like for you? What does that mean? Because in someone's home, when you grow up, there are dynamics that people pick up in a home. Sometimes the mom can be more dominant than the father. So now that person knows what it looks like as a male.
Disciplinarian, usually. She's the disciplinarian.
Right, but should I be subdued in all relationships like my father is? Chances are that person is picking that up and saying, maybe not having a voice is what it is. But again, that's the condition of what they saw.
You are what you eat, what you live in.
Right, environmental influences. So you got to look at all of that. But it always comes down to, what is communication? What does that mean to that person? And that should be any conversation when you first start dating someone, is talking about how do you communicate. They don't have to bring in what their past was like, but what they look at it as now, the adult. What does that look like? Because if you're in a prospective relationship with this person, you got to communicate. You can't cut them off or be rude to them. Whatever comes out of you is how you're communicating with that other person. So
well, wait a minute, and I don't want to jump too much, but this is a big one. Mark, just 1 second, because we have male and female on here. You just said shrinking, right? That's basically what you alluded to, somewhat. The person is listening, but they don't want to speak. But remember, for everyone to hear, we're all folks of color. You remember what that dynamic was. You come in, most of the time, the woman would be cooking.
Like that.
The woman would put the plate on the table. This is what we experienced. No, in some households, they said we couldn't eat till our father ate or the man of the house ate. That was what it was, respect. We don't have that anymore. Folks dig into the pots and stuff like that. But that's my family of origin. You know, that's what it was. You know, depending on what it was a family style. Now, if you think the food is on the table, people go in there and make their plates whenever you want it. My son was busy. I was busy. I'm not sure your household. You put the stuff and you start all over again. So again, it's what we're seeing.
Yeah, and a lot of that.
You guys experienced that it started with the quietness. That I'm just trying to,
No, part of that is it varies. Like I said, my grandmother and granddad on my dad's side were very much educators, and all along those lines. Grandma, as I mentioned before, was a librarian. Granddad was a scientist and a professor, and all along those lines. But definitely, they respected each other, from what I could tell. Even though I didn't really know my granddad, because he passed away when I was very young, like an infant, and everything like that. But from what I heard from grandma and everything, they respected each other, and definitely she was a gourmet cook and everything. But what I do remember of grandma and granddad in my mom's side was they ate together. They all ate together. Grandma did most of the cooking. She was a cafeteria worker and all along those lines. But there was a time that sometimes if it was a big gathering, the kids would have their kids section. So they'd be off in the kids section of the house and everything and be eating together as kids. And you're right, that doesn't exist now, particularly at big gatherings. So there would be a cold section of the house where the adults would be eating and then the kids would be in another section. So you felt privileged when you became a teenager and could get to the adult table and all along those lines and everything like that. So that was a Southern tradition that existed, and I do remember that, to your point, Joey, and everything like that. So definitely I remember that whole notion of a different part of the ways that things used to be, and now everybody just kind of digs into the food, and a lot of people are out regularly eating out, whether that's going out on restaurant dates or going out to have DoorDash and other things delivered to them. So yes, things have definitely changed as we've had more of a rapid kind of society. So definitely this notion of get it as quickly as you can. And I think that's even impacting our relationships sometimes, because some people are wanting to get into the relationship more rapidly than trying to get to know the person and everything like that. So sometimes it's jumping too fast into some of the intimate aspects. And I mean, we all want to be loved and we all want to have that intimate side as well. But sometimes people may be too rapid in that desire and everything like that without thinking about the consequences. One of the things that I admire among some of my, and I don't know how you ladies feel about it, but I admire among some of my friends that are single mothers is that they will wait until they actually get to know the gentleman before they bring the kids into the relationship. And I've even got some friends that are very young grandmothers now, because things have changed in the way that people are getting to that grandmother age. I remember when grandmothers used to be seen as being in their 60s or 70s, but there are now some grandmothers that are in their 40s and their 50s because of the nature of what happened in their own relationships and everything like that. So that's another thing that people have to realize, is that they may be getting into a self-made family, but also a self-made grand family as well and everything like that. So I think I dealt with that in some of my relationships and all along those lines. But I admire those people that try to get to know the person before they try to get to bring the other element, which is their loved one, which is their child, if it was from another relationship, into the relationship.
Yes, agreed. Anyone else? If not, we're going to definitely
regarding the question, what are you going to do
Okay.
for me? I think it's rooted in fear and past disappointment, but not entitlement necessarily. It reflects emotional vulnerability, masked as demand. It surfaces when trust has been broken before and self-protection kicks in. People ask it when they're given too much and receive too little. A lot of the times I've seen relationship counseling.
Thank you, Blue. I like the
That's
dynamic.
true.
Yes,
That's
because
very
this
true.
is where all four of us have experienced something individually, and this is just explain what our constituents, our listeners are experiencing as well. We got to talk about it.
Yeah. So that is excellent and spot on. And if you don't understand what Blue just said, as we continue to talk, we will unpack what he's saying. And it again, we come in with a level of different expectations in a relationship. We bring things into the relationship. Sometimes within those relationships, we begin to, it depends on how you're moving in a relationship and what you have. So there's some people that become automatically codependent. That's unhealthy, because now you're relying on the person to make every decision. What am I doing? I can't go anywhere without that person, and all that. It becomes very unhealthy for the person and the person that's actually going through it. But we'll talk about that a little bit more. But I'm going to play the first clip. The first clip is a little under 3 minutes. I want us to check out this young lady and just watch her behavior, her body language, and everything that she's saying, and then we're going to come back and talk about her. Okay.
Y'all, I am so pissed right now. My man just fucking broke up with me. He tried to tell me that I was acting crazy. I have an extra set of keys to his car for, emergency purposes. He left out the house at 8:45 this morning. I text him at 9:22, 10:15, and then again at 10:32. He did not respond to me, not one time. And although he'll probably know now, but he did not know I had his location on his phone. So I check his phone. Whose house is this? Whose address is this? So you know what I did? I hopped my ass in my car and I drove myself to where that location was at. I was not familiar. Now, I've been with this man forever and a day, so I know all of his friends. I know all of his family. So whose house is this? Now, don't get me wrong. It's a really nice house. I don't give a fuck about that. Because whose house is this? I parked a little bit up the driveway there, hid my car in between a bunch of cars up there, walked myself down to his car, took the button, and popped his trunk. I got into the car, and I shut the trunk and locked myself into his car trunk. I'm calling him over and over and over and over again. He finally answers his phone once he's in his car. I was just so mad and so angry. Because why am I calling your phone that many times since 15 minutes after you walked out the house because I missed you, and you're not answering your phone, and you finally answer it, and I forgot that I was in your trunk. I was saying some not so nice words to him, like really, really loud. I was like yelling in the phone, forgetting I was in the trunk, and all of a sudden, he brake checked me. Boom! He gets out of his car, he opens up his trunk, and there I am just laying there. And all I could say was, baby, this isn't what it looks like. So, of course, being a female, I had to do what every female does. Sorry for breaking the code. And do the reverse psychology on him. I pop out the trunk like, okay, but you're not answering your phone, so whose house is this? So I started walking towards the house like, I'm mad. Y'all, I opened up this goddamn door to the house, and it is completely emptied. With a real estate agent in the house. Doesn't look like I'm going to be going from a 4-bedroom to a nice mansion anytime soon because, his crazy ass fucked it up. And he fucked it up by breaking up with me and telling me that I'm crazy. I'm not crazy. I just misunderstood. Baby, I hope you apologize to me soon for making me have to get like this. I won't ever do it again. Promise. Oh, there you go, right there. Let me see where he going.
All right. So I would love to start with our brothers first, because I have some choice words, but I would love to hear their perspective on her behavior, and if you yourself has experienced what this young lady have done. So either one of you can start. What did you think of her behavior?
Well, first off, it sounds like a version of stalking, and yeah, I've been stalked in the past and everything like that, where the person is sitting there trying to follow you and everything like that. I remember a friend of mine literally followed behind me when I was going to my own house, because I was living in a house, not an apartment at that time and everything, and they were like, that lady, which is the lady I was dating, was literally stalking you, because they realized that the person was behind coming to by my house and had come by there basically cruising by to see what was going on, and there was nothing going on. So I've been in that environment, both in work environments and in my own house. So definitely I'm not a big fan of folks that are sitting there going to be stalking you or clocking your phone and doing other things like that and everything like that, because there should be in any relationship an element of trust. That's what I believe in, and everything along those lines. But if you've got that kind of insecurities, then I'm already seeing some problems and everything like that. And then it looks like there might even been something that could have been a positive thing if it was a real estate house and everything like that. So they might have even been looking at possibly going into a house with them and everything like that, but they made assumptions and everything like that. So definitely it sounds like they were making some assumptions that weren't necessarily based on facts, but their fears. And I do know that we sometimes are controlled by what's happening in our past relationships. I don't know the nature of what they had happened in their past situation and whether he had done some things that led her to be that suspicious in order for her to start clocking the phone and clocking what else was going on and everything like that. But yeah, I would have some serious red flags going up in my life with that kind of conversation. Blue?
Blue, what you think about this?
It's a parody, so I mean, I don't put a lot of thought into it. Definitely for clicks, viral potential. But you know, if you zoomed out and it was reality, which it possibly couldn't be, I mean, it just shows a breakdown in communication. Why would he? Sure, he might have wanted to surprise her, maybe, but why would he not communicate? You know, that a transition to a larger house for them. Why wouldn't that be a conversation? Since more than likely it would impact the finances of that household, or maybe not, depending on what he does for a living. It's all on him. But two, it just shows an insecurity within herself that maybe she doesn't get the support she needs, or maybe she doesn't get the communication she needs. He would have seen that, and if that's the case, if that's how she always acts, he would have seen that crazy a long time ago. That mansion might have been his escape plan.
Wow.
You never know. You never know. Hey, Dean, thank you for joining us. The clip we just watched is one that you posted. The first one is about this mansion, you know, the home that she was in his trunk and whatnot. So what's your perspective on her behavior that she displayed?
You know what? Good afternoon. Is it afternoon yet? No, it's still morning. Good morning. You know what? When you think of, you got to be careful of the assumptions that you make, because you may be all the way wrong. So now here she is. Hold on now. Just knew he was doing dirt. Just knew he was doing the wrong thing. Got up in the trunk. That's psychotic behavior right there. You know what I mean? Now you're in the trunk. You get ready to run up on this lady, but you realize she's a realtor. Then common sense kicks in, and it's like, wait, is he buying this house for us? Well, no, he's buying the house for him now, because you got to go. That's simple.
Oh,
yes,
boy.
Yes.
Well,
okay, Toya, I'm going to move on.
I'm going to answer two parts. Because, you know, I worked in a community mental health center. So I worked with some women. I did the women's group. So I worked with parolees and probationers. So I had the opportunity to work in them when the DOC sent them, and I had to assess them, do the biopsychosocial, go through all that. And again, there possibly is a DSM-1 diagnosis and a personality disorder, but sometimes the personality disorders are undiagnosed. So we're going to just say it like that. And it can be dysthymic. It can happen here and there. But I feel that for her, she said one of the things that I was listening to was the duration of the relationship. She said she'd been with him a long time. So my thing here is, again, as Blue said, maybe it was for views, because those are the two things that didn't match for me. But when I did speak to women who were there for incarceration purposes and they need to be in the community or they're on probation, you know, my man did so-and-so, I caught him in the bed with someone, such and such and such and such. So there was a probable cause. So then the conversation was, you have a restraining order right now. So you know that now you can't do this. Do you want to be violated again for your probation or parole? No. So now I'm gonna refer you to this anger management class. Okay, that's how you deal with it there. But now if it's just a regular person like me, I would say, well, I couldn't see myself getting into someone's trunk. I know that love is there, but it should not hurt you. And then that's when assume, as you said, assume is ASSUME. That's what I'm going to say, to keep it PG. So that's one of the things we have to tap our own self and say, you know what, this is a flag for me. And sometimes what I have done, I run from things and it may not have been wrong because of that. So thank you, Dean. Where if I've seen someone do something, bust windows out my car in college, I run from people like that because of the healing. I could be wrong, but that's when communication comes in, and we should have a conversation. But as I think we're alluding to today, we don't talk. We talk to everybody and their mama, but we don't sit and talk to the person that we want to be in a relationship with. And that's for me started.
Okay, so now I'm up on this one. So based on my observation and what I saw, this is very much an insecure person. Okay. There's some baggage that she carries with her because she does have lack of trust. Okay. Even though she's been with him for many years, when did she begin to trust him and not trust him? So for me, that is a red flag. And I think that was early on too, but maybe in his time with her, he probably said, maybe I can help her get past that or heal from that area. And that didn't happen because you wouldn't have jumped in his trunk to see what was going on. There is an assumption, assuming that he's cheating. She's looking for an apology from him, although she jumped in his trunk. So in other words, she was saying, because of your actions is why I jumped into the trunk of your car. And then she's like, well, he brake checked me. Ma'am, why are you in the trunk in the first place? But I'll come back to that in a second. I do agree it's a breakdown of communication. So I agree with everybody on this panel that there is a breakdown. However, if he was trying to surprise her, you're not going to know what the surprise is. Most people that surprise you don't even communicate that level of surprise because you will break the surprise if they tell you this is what I'm doing. But if you love him enough and you're trusting in that relationship, and he's never stepped out on you before, where would it come from now? But anyway, that's how she presented. Does she really know him? That was the question that came up for me. Does she really know him or does she not know him? So these are the things that came up based on the behavior. Okay. Again, for me, entitlement is another thing that came up. That was a word that just popped up to me when she made that statement that, he really needs to apologize to her. So her behavior, I'm not going to condone at all. Is there a lack of communication there? Yes. Was he probably surprising her? I believe so. I think he was trying to elevate them up to another level in their relationship by getting a home. And again, she feels now, I messed up. Now I got to figure out a way to get it back. So now that's on her. The onus is on her. So that's
she it. She said for the lady code, that's not my lady code. So you're projecting something. Yeah, why would you say that? That's not the lady code.
No, it's not. It's not a lady code to jump into a man's trunk. Why would you do that? What is your purpose? Why would you stoop that low to jump into anybody's trunk and then ride in the trunk? You got to be outside of your mind to do something like that.
I think that was a performance. I'm hoping and praying that really was a performance.
I think Blue is right.
You know what? No, let's that may be, but there are individuals out there who actually will do this. And when he heard the thing through the speakers and heard the echo in the back, he hit her with the brake check, tried to knock her out. That's her fault for getting to the trunk. Yo, you can't do weird stuff and expect normal things to happen.
There you go.
If you bring all of your baggage, then you'll leave with those same bags because there's a lot of people that are not going to put up with it. Now, some people like crazy and they deal with crazy, and that becomes crazy, and crazy is toxic, right?
They said Bobby at the same time, crazy. I just watched that movie. If I could dance with somebody.
At the same time, there are a lot of people who are not going to deal with that kind of thing. So you go ahead and keep jumping in trunks. You make sure you ride the hell out of my life and keep it moving. Wherever you jump out is where you shall be, because it's life is too short to deal with silliness like that. And that goes for not just men or either, it's both men and women. The stalker dude that show up at the club when you trying to hang out with your girlfriend and he just happened to come in there to get a beer. Nigga, you ain't been to the bar in years, but now you want to go, you want to see if she cheating. Well, if you want to see if she cheating, guess what? You're going to find a dude that treats her better than you do. And when he takes her from you, Don't jump off the bridge. Just chalk it up to the game, dog.
Wow.
Mm-hmm. Oh,
Dr.
Okay.
Diamond, we on fire this morning, and it ain't even 12 o'clock.
I know. Okay, so I do have a follow-up question to this too, which goes with this clip. So here is the question. What happens when one partner becomes the giver and the other becomes the taker? Was that a demonstration of that? You know, look at what she's doing. Why would she get to that level? What happened? Did he spoil her?
Entitlement.
Did he give
That's
her
what it
everything she wanted? Is there entitlement there? Hey, the question is out there. What's the answer if you have one?
I'm gonna say she can't. I'm gonna say she's not thinking for herself. She's got that one girlfriend that's been angry and lonely and been cheated on and cheated on and cheated on. So everybody is just dirt. And she listened to it long enough that she started to believe the same thing.
Well, thank you, testosterone.
I'm just gonna be honest with it. Hey, why would a man, or either way, they treat their significant other very well, and then all of a sudden they just start falling off the rail? No, it's that asshole that you deal with on the side. That's your buddy that you claim as your friend that hates that you have that because they don't have anything. Mm-hmm. So they rather you to have nothing because what? Misery likes what?
Company.
I agree with that.
Right?
I agree with that. Mm-hmm.
They gonna make it rough. So when your relationship falls apart, the only thing they can say is, you be all right. You can hold on. You gonna find another one. There are more fish in the sea. Nobody want to hear all that. Now y'all both lonely.
Well, I want to add on that. I got ghosted before, and it wasn't really a ghosting because at the time when I was in it, it didn't feel like it until I got the rebuttal. I had to sit back and not say anything. You know, as a Leo, sometimes it's hard not to say anything. But now I'm living by this be still and know. That's in work. Okay. I'm going to say that you have to have gratitude attitude. So thank you, Dean Geronimo, for sharing that. So I'm going to put myself out here. So what happened was, you know, dated someone for a very long time, went to move on, whatever, met someone, and we were friends. So I said that I'm dating. Then all of a sudden that person didn't call me no more. I'm like, what happened? So as I digress, go backwards, there must have been some stinking thinking. But what I really think there were some things that I did not know. And I still don't know. There was just a comment that was made. And I think the person ran from the comment. But I feel like this, everybody has a before me, right? There's always someone before you, and you have to be secure in yourself and not worry about that. But that was a transition. And I don't mind talking about it today because of what you're saying is the communication factor, entitlement, or whatever it may be. It's just that we really need to really throw that out there because, you know, we're going to hear folks. But one thing I said about these two people here that's on this call, Team Piercy, Dr. Diamond and Dean Geronimo, they have a strong relationship. And I know that we need to start taking advice from people who are happily married, who are together. But when you take information for someone who is not in that club or in that circle, we get misinformed. And I think that's what's happening in some cases. You can't have your peanut gallery who's not happy because that'll pull you down. And go step, that's the crab syndrome that we talk about. It's in every room, but we don't never want to be honest about it. But you really got to control yourself, know what your triggers are, what you have been through. And sometimes because we don't want to talk and be vulnerable, we lose out. That's how I'm feeling this point. We lose out.
No, and coming back to what Dean said earlier and everything like that, I think that there's a guaranteed way to wind up in being visiting people like you, Dr. Diamond, and you, Mr. Blue, and everything like that. Because a lot of times, if you got a giver and a taker, that sounds like this one of those toxic relationships that's going to wind up needing some form of counseling or something along those lines. Because that's just not a good relationship if you got one that is a giver and the other that's a taker and everything like that. Because that just sounds like that is not balanced, and what we want in life is a balanced relationship.
Agreed. A balanced relationship, it really is a foundation of relationships, as well as the other factors that come along with it, which is communication, honesty, trust. All of that is in there, as well as some humor goes in there, as well as friendship. I think people don't understand that you can be friends first before creeping into a long-term relationship. You get an opportunity, even on a friendship level, to see what the person is like. Is this the person that I want to go further with? Or is this a person that I can have a long-term friendship with? You know, you begin to do that. And that's why I think most people don't understand that that is a great key component to having a long-term relationship, is being friends. And you have to continue to be friends. That is dating or going out and having a good time, doing things that you already was doing in the relationship when you first started. Complacency is where it start becoming, am I happy with this now? How am I moving in this relationship? Am I ignored in this relationship? Do I have a voice in this relationship? That's where you see it becomes unbalanced too. So it's unraveling as the years go by, because complacency is what occurs. Now, is that normal? Yes, I'm here to tell you that's normal. I'm pretty sure Blue would say the same thing. It is normal. But when you start feeling that as a couple, this is where we go back to communication. Talking is important. You need to talk so you can start unraveling things and revisiting some things. And then you start rebuilding, if you have to, from where you started. So that is what I would say to this. And with the ones that are the givers and the takers, that to me is a damaging way to be in a relationship. If I give, and the person's just taking, then what is that really a relationship? No, that is not a relationship. This is more of, it's like you go into a store, you're buying something. You buy it. That's normal. You get what you get, and then you keep going and you keep going to the next store. It's a transaction. Give and take. That's what it becomes. And that is not a relationship. That's my story. That's what I'm sticking with. Thank you.
Thank you for sharing that, Dr. Diamond. I gotta tell you, you are hitting it on it. I'm more so, I guess I'm rugged and raw, because I dealt with the folks that, they don't want to be there. So I had to learn the tactics. So excuse me with my word choices, because they gotta buy in. Like you said, okay, I'm gonna talk to someone. I want them to be like, oh, with my pen, that's not gonna work. So you have to really get people to be invested in their growth. And that's just really what this platform, what we all do. We're trying to have people bet on themselves. Thank you, Marlon Curtis II. He just was on to catch that playback. However, we want folks to know that you have a place to come and listen. And if you don't want to, get on the movement, but again, sharing is caring. And we just here to heal, so that, the government is going through what it's going through, but we need to be mentally sane as it transitions.
Yeah. Does anybody else have something to say before we walk on? We're going to go on to the next clip. If we don't, we are going to watch this clip here. Dean, thank you for uploading these.
Who the fuck is Asia? Huh? Man, Asia is Dante's little cousin. God damn. She's in town for the weekend and she went out with us. The fuck is you tripping for? You fucking liar. Tell me the truth. What the fuck I gotta lie to you for? And why are you going through my phone? You know I don't like that shit.
I don't give a fuck what you like, Twan. About you or your motherfucking nasty ass friends. I don't have to go through your phone to know that you ain't shit. I don't have to do that.
Listen, bro. I don't know what the fuck you've been through in your life, but you acting real insecure right now. If I wanted to fuck somebody, trust me, you wouldn't know anything about it.
Wow.
Okay. It's a short one, but it was a little impactful there. What did you get out of this one?
I wouldn't let, what's with the bruh? I know my son had to do that. What's with the generation with this bruh? I do not have male parts. I cannot stand that. I don't know. Can the men answer that first? He's calling her bruh. Is there respect there? He's calling her bruh.
I'm quite sure those of us on this line right now have no clue of what you are alluding to, because we don't use that terminology. You know what I'm saying? I'm not calling you bruh when you're a female. You know what I mean? But I've watched females call females bruh. So it's something that they use that's peculiar to, I can only answer for me. I'm not doing it. but that's
Thank
how
you.
that's their language now. How backwards it may be, but that's how they use it.
It might be a generational thing where it's being used because of some of the rap women that are using the term and some of the other people that are using it and borrowing terms from the male society and everything like that. But yeah, I'm not using that. The sister is not going to be called bruh and everything like that. I'm just being honest and everything like that. But I'm not using that term and everything like that. But I imagine that as might be a younger generation that might be using that term just because it's seen as hip and as a Blue was saying earlier, there's a lot of people that are doing things for bait clips and all along those lines. So they might be using it to get those clips and everything like that, and to get those views up on their channels and everything like that. And even this one might have been that because it was definitely a one that was going to generate a lot of those interest and get a lot of those clips and everything like that. Because I mean, clicks, because people are going to be clicking for it because they're seeing this toxic relationship going on, because that was definitely what it amounted to, looking like a toxic relationship and everything like that. I mean, we didn't even find out whether that was the case or not the case, because I do know that sometimes people will have relatives come in town that might be of the opposite gender and all along those lines, but we didn't really even get to find out if that was the case or if that was a bunch of BS, if I can just use that term and everything along those lines. But yeah, there was definitely attempt to get those clicks.
It appears in this movie clip, I'm sure it's a movie clip off of Tubi or something, that she's probably been burned in the past, probably been hurt in the past, and feels like this is a pattern, you know what I'm saying, of feeling insecure. Look through his phone. Whatever you look for, you will find. And I'm not saying that you will find it because there's evidence to support it, but your skewed cognition, your view of how you feel about something can make you believe that whatever you find will give you justification for that thought process.
And that's what we are. We're in a microwave generation, and that's basically what they're saying, because as I mentioned before, we are what we eat. So thank you, Blue, because this is what our kids are seeing, and that's why I love mentoring to correct that mindset, because what it is, and you know, I know Dr. Diamond, you always talk about those intergenerational issues that we had. If we're seeing that, that's pulling us back down to that level. That's what I see.
Okay, so we're going to focus on the price tag conversation a little deeper. Here's the question. How has social media influenced what people think a partner should provide? Soft life, luxury dating, the table debate. So we can take luxury dating. Why don't we take a look at that, right? So when we think about it, how has social media influenced what people think a partner should provide? Let's say luxury dating. Now,
Well, I mean,
okay, go ahead.
No, I was going to say, isn't part of it because I mean, I've been on those sites and I've definitely even participated in those sites in the past and everything like that. But part of it is the whole notion of dating and everything that's going on now, particularly with online dating. A lot of what is being perceived is how they are putting that perception out there. So in luxury dating, a lot of people will tell you what they are looking for in terms of the kinds of finances they want, in terms of the kind of houses they want, in terms of the kind of things that they want, and all along those lines. Now, some of these might be not even within their own grasp and everything like that, but you know, if you create a profile, you can make anything in that profile that you want to be either in your life or that you already have in your life and everything like that. So yeah, you've got people on those profiles on various sites, whether that's Facebook dating or whether that's Mingles or a number of other ones that are out there and everything like that, that will be like, you know, I want somebody in my life that is making X amount of figures and everything like that, and I want them to be having this kind of car or that kind of car, and I want them to be a religious man or a non-religious man, and whatever they desire they can put out there in that profile. Does that mean that they're bringing the same thing to the relationship? You won't find that out until you actually get into conversation with them, because sometimes you'll find out that those profiles are not realistic.
How many of you all remember Kevin Samuels? Was that his name? Kevin
The comedian. Yeah, I remember Kevin Samuels that did those conversations.
Yes, and he would also talk about, I remember a woman came on there and she said she wants a man that made a 6-figure salary. So he like, and you know, he was very bold, and he said, well, what are you bringing to the table? And he would ask, how much do you weigh? How tall are you? Like, these his questions. And I'm like, oh my God, you know, why would he ask these women that? But then he would tell her, if you're not bringing a 6-figure to the table, why would you expect a 6-figure man, you know, that he's making all this money, that he should be taking care of you, and you're not bringing nothing to the table? I mean, he would go in. He just popped in my mind because of this question.
So what we've seen is social media has destroyed basic conversation. So when a guy sees a lady and he's interested in her, he approaches her with some decent conversation and maybe asks for her number, right? Well, now they ask for the Instagram. I can't do nothing with goddamn Instagram. What am I going to do? Look at your pictures? That doesn't tell me anything. We need to have a conversation. Well, if we can't talk, we can't talk. But then there's another argument that comes up, and it's all over, you know, it's in social media. The man needs to be the provider. I'm sorry, but I'm going to tell you like this. That's why all them brothers died long time ago, because they was taking care of their whole family, the other family that they had on the other side of town, and they worked themselves to death, and they died at 52, 53 years old. The lady going to live to be 80, 90 years old, great-grandmama and everything. But now Buddy dead. What did he accomplish? What did you bring for it? Some of these ladies are looking for sponsors, and I'm just going to say it. And some of these dudes are willing to be their sponsors, but they never get to know through all of that, because money is the motivator. They feel that if I give you this money that you're going to love me. That don't mean a damn thing. That means you just a dumb. I'm going to change that word. But, you know, insert the word I'm going to get ready to say that it's going to put all that money out. But then when she leaves you, now your feelings hurt because you don't have any money left. Well, that's your dumbass fault for trying to impress with all of the things that can be lost tomorrow, but the little things that you never learned that meant the world, and then you don't take the time to know those things. Wow. So that's your fault. That's your fault. And you should be lonely and you should be sad. You hate women now, go get your man. That's your problem. You know what I'm saying? I don't feel bad for you. Ladies, you looking for a sponsor? He ain't taking it. He's not. I'm not buying you a drink.
Dean, can I jump in? Dr. Diamond, I have to jump in because I'm a grandchild of a Rolling Stone. Let's just say that. My grandfather had 16 children, 2 wives. So this is why when I meet people, people don't understand. And when we talked about, you pay the cost to be the boss. That's how I was raised, by strong Black women. So you have to think, my mother met a man on the other side. So that's the difference. So I'm a product of that. And I did see the men take care of their women. And unfortunately, you're correct. My grandfather did pass away, but he loved my grandmother. Just unfortunately, there was receipts out there. And I was a person that would go with Pop, go to places, and seeing people did not know they were my cousins or my aunts and uncles. So what I'm saying is, as a child who survived all of that, and with sponsors, I'm not saying my grandfather's not living, Johnny B. However, he took care of them women. My grandmother got the money, he did whatever. He wasn't one of the ones that I see today. So when I come out, I guess I'm a little hard. But the thing here is sponsor, that's the new word. He took care of the women, and there were children that I didn't know of that. But now these men today, when they have the children, not take care of them. So I say, hey, there's a vasectomy out there, not trying to be in your business. You can be a lover, but when you have receipts and children who are innocent, that's when the problem comes in.
Yeah, I mean, that's why you got a lot of people now that are just now finding their relatives and everything like that. I've got a dear friend of mine that has just found his birth family and everything like that, because he knew he was adopted and everything along those lines. But he's just now finding them, and he is well into his 60s and everything like that. So, and they're even blocking them from getting reconnected to the family and everything like that. So there's this notion of what can happen in those situations as well. And the other thing that I was going to bring up to your point, Dr. Diamond, and to the rest of the folks here on the panel, is that we live very much, and I know that Blue can relate to this as well, in a swipe left culture and everything like that. How many times have you heard people talking about that they've been on this app or that app, and that's just a very kind of not just materialistic, but very I don't want to say fragile, but it's kind of a on the surface level kind of like approach, because you're just looking at them there as a beauty or as a Hulk if they're a woman looking at a guy and everything like that, and whatever your image is that you want, whether that's muscles, whether that's intellect, or whatever that is that you are desiring, and you're either swiping left or swiping right based on that immediate reaction to the picture, to your point about Instagram and some of these other social apps that are picture oriented and everything like that. So what, for the last 5 or 6 years we've had this whole swipe left culture and everything like that, and how many times has many of us seen people on those apps and they're literally just going through hundreds if not thousands of names. But to your point, Dean, have they talked to any of these people? Because like I said, even if I swipe left or it was in those things, I want to get to know the person and everything along those lines. I don't want to just be swiping left for the fun of swiping left without getting to know the individual, because that's the only way you're going to find out if you are a successful connection and everything like that. But you got some people that are not even doing that. They're not thinking about what they're doing in that situation and everything like that. So like I said, the whole relationship pictures is very interesting and very dynamic. I was actually just with a friend yesterday, and then I'll get off my soapbox and everything like that, and they are in a May December relationship. They are the December, because they are the older gentleman, and their lady friend, their lady of love right now, is somebody that is probably about 20 30 years younger than them and everything like that. But they are making it work, and it seems to be working. But I mean, there's also some issues with it, because of course she's a young woman and the clock is ticking. So she wants a child. He's already got a child. So he's like, I've already done that. I'm not trying to do that and everything like that. So that might be what becomes the breaking point at some point in the relationship. I'm not saying it will be the breaking point. They may wind up being successful and everything like that. But that is a conversation that happens sometimes, is you got to figure out the dynamics of the relationship.
Mm-hmm. We don't take the time to do that, though.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? We people are attracted to what they see,
Mm-hmm.
and what's on the outside is not all necessarily what's on the inside. You know what I mean? It could be something totally different, and you'll be surprised at what you see when you finally peel away all of that superficial stuff. You know, when you take off the hair, when you take off the makeup, and you see somebody that you don't even recognize, or you see a dude that finally take his shirt off and that stomach start hanging with the Dunlap disease, you know, what do you do with that? What do you do next?
Okay, so I do have another question for us to talk about real quickly, and this really is about whatever traumas you possibly have experienced. Okay, so this question says, how does growing up in survival mode shape what we expect from partners?
Well, I'll jump into that one really quickly. I don't know what Blue's thoughts about that, but when you go into survival mode, a lot of times that dictates how you handle relationships and everything like that. Like I've said, I've been in relationships where I found out either in the early part of the relationship or later in the relationship, and if I found out later, then that was problematic and everything like that, that they had been in abusive situations or been in bad situations. So they were in that survival mode mindset. They were trying to survive, and sometimes they brought that relationship into their new relationship, which would have been me and everything like that. And I didn't have anything to do with it. I wasn't the person that hurt them and all along those lines, but because they had been in those bad relationships, they were trying to be in that survival mode, and they sometimes would even do things within the relationship that would be things that they would have done with that partner of theirs that had hurt them and everything along those lines. Because that is something that unfortunately happens too often, is that both men and women get in that survival mode, and because they're in that survival mode, they are trying to do things to maintain the relationship and all along those lines. But sometimes they are bringing those, there's an old expression, leave the baggage at home. And I know that we all have baggage. It doesn't matter whether you're 15 or 85. We all got baggage in life and everything like that. But sometimes that baggage is not done what you're supposed to do, which is once you come into a new relationship, set that baggage aside and everything along those lines. But unfortunately, not everybody is able to do that. And because they're not able to do that, it impacts the new relationship. And I'll just leave it at that.
Agree. It does impact the new relationship. As I talked about earlier, what you bring in. If you're bringing in your traumas into a relationship that you never healed from, they are going to show up. So it will show up in different ways. Insecurities. You will have lack of trust of that person. You'll start demonstrating. Even some people demonstrate volatile type of behaviors. So it just depends on the trauma that the person experienced. Now, this could be growing up. Can also be past relationships. You're bringing that trauma into the new relationship. It is not fair to yourself or the other person that has to experience it because you chose not to get help. Okay, so when you think about generation wise, okay, back then, they wouldn't have had someone to say, hey, you need to heal from what was you exposed to, because what happened in the house stayed in the house. Okay, so you're not going to expose that. However, you're internalizing it. Now, when you get into a relationship, you're only taking what you already was exposed to, thinking that it's right, and you're bringing it into the relationship you currently have. And no one ever said, no, that's not right. And you're only going to learn that based on what happens within the relationship. Either the person is going to walk away or they're going to stay in it, and the relationship becomes more harmful, unhealthy. Just very different variables begin to shape what that relationship looks like based on someone's trauma. So I would say heal from your trauma first. Recognize what it is, because sometimes you don't know what it is until you get that help. Recognize it, and then when you embark on these relationships, you need to be a healed person. No one is 100% healed, but you need to heal from those traumas so you can grow in that relationship and within yourself. So that's just my take on that question.
Thank you so much, Dr. Diamond, for opening the door for me as a cycle breaker, just surviving different types of abuse and things, and being a provider. And at times early in my career, I didn't share what I had went through. But as I purge and I write, and that's what the Butterfly Room is. And I thank you for that, because sometimes sisters and brothers, we are not vocal. And that's where the negative thought process. I know one of the things you would say on the couch is, you had the angel, the devil, or two different people talking to you. It's just you have to be emotionally aware of that. And what happens is sometimes it's a daily process. And I said to myself, how can I teach anger management and become angry? It doesn't make sense, because then you become a hypocrite within oneself. It's just that when you are healed, you can't speak. And that's what the Butterfly Room is. Every day is a positive affirmation. There's a song, because this is what my clients needed daily. And when I see folks, they say, thank you for posting. I needed that. That's why I move on, because it's a daily affirmation, a process. Progress is a process. That's it. So thank you for opening the door. You will be okay. And it's okay not to be okay. Today I woke up, I didn't have a good thing. I got a call. Sometimes when the phone rings and something triggers you, you may not need to answer that. You might need to regroup, because you might be going through something. And I think that folks need to hear that. It's okay. But you have to be able to be emotionally conscious and to know oneself.
Guys, do you have any? Okay, there you go, Blue. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
It distorts relationships because you expect little and you protect what you have fiercely. You either overgive to give peace, or you shut down at the first sign of threat. You let little conflicts, little things, it become dangerous, because that's just the way your brain navigates the trauma that it might have experienced in previous relationships or in your youth. Trust becomes transactional because love feels earned through sacrifice, not given freely, because you're afraid to give freely just based on what you've experienced. And it's not brokenness, it's adaptation. We adapt because of what we've been through in order to get through.
Yes, that's what it is. My new thing is you gotta heal. You gotta feel it to heal it. That's really what this is. And if you don't feel anything, how are you supposed to heal? Because once when you're a kid, they say, don't touch that stove, right? And once you touch that stove and got that water blister, you ain't do that no more.
But I'm gonna just with that statement that you made, with you gotta feel it to heal it, right? There are times that you suppress so much that you don't even feel it anymore. You become numb to what you have suppressed. So I argue that that statement is okay to say. However, those that are actually hiding their true feelings, it's not them even hiding it, it's suppressing it. So you don't know to acknowledge it because you're afraid to bring it back up. Now,
and that's what
that's fear. That's fear. That's pain. That's so many different emotions that you can't tap back into that. And that's what trauma looks like. Trauma will, when you are actually protecting, there's a protective factor that's happening. And what you're protecting is those experiences of pain. So you're not going to bring that up for you to understand that you have to heal from that. And that's where we come in at. And I don't want to be clinical here because I don't want this to be like that. What I'm saying to anyone, and I'm piggybacking off of what Blue is saying, because with him and I being in the same profession, we look at that. You know, we have to go deep where that person wants to go. We can't force them to go there, because if we unlock something, we have to help them heal from that. And we have to be careful. We take an oath that not to harm. So
correct.
Go where they're going. So that's why I argue that point, because again, a person is not always going to bring that to the surface for us so they can register that it needs healing. They're not going to know that.
And that's why we piggyback. You're on Saturdays at 11, on Fridays at 8, because now I can say things that I couldn't say professionally, because in my healing process, I am not the same person that I am. And when my book comes out, you'll understand. It's just that I suppressed for years. Losing a mother at such a young age, it took the show, the anger phase. My mother died very young. And what happened was I never experienced the anger. Once I did experience that last year, I was able to heal. So you have to understand. So you cannot do that because it's duty of no harm. As a professional, you take a Hippocratic oath. So there's certain things that you do in your practice that I couldn't say. So when I was speaking to these women back, you have to think I was in my early 20s talking to women. So now I know what my purpose is. You understand? When I say be still and know, you're correct. Part one is doing the work. But I had things that were suppressed so deep that I didn't even know they were there until I was triggered. Once I finally pulled it out and opened up that rabbit hole, I healed, because now I knew what the enemy was using to suppress me, what was triggering me. And it's going to be, this is what we're planning. So thank you for saying that. And because you're supposed to, because that goes into Jahari's window. This is the unknown. So what I did was work finally through the unknown to be able to morph. And that's what the butterfly does in 4 stages. So thank you.
Yeah. Hello, everybody. I want to actually bring Ms. Lana on here. She is one of our new co-hosts, and she was actually doing her community service. So you know how we are here on the couch. We promote that, and that's important that we do that. So Lana, thank you so much for joining us today.
Welcome.
So sorry I'm late.
No problem.
I'm so sorry I'm late.
So
I really had it on my calendar for tomorrow.
No, it's fine.
My head, it was tomorrow.
It's all good.
See, I'm still in the car.
So listen, we work from cars. All of us do. Mark, when he popped back on, he's, back and forth with things as well. So we did ask a question about trauma, right? And how that affects partnerships. So I'm going to ask you this question, Lana, and I would like for you to give us your feedback on the question. How does growing up in survival mode shape what we expect from partners?
It's kind of a double-edged sword answer for me, because I don't have a partner anymore. And I must say, in my second marriage, I was married twice. One we was young, we got engaged, we got pregnant. My father said, y'all still getting married? We were like, he said the answer will be yes. So we did. And I have trauma from, I was molested by my stepfather for over a decade, since two, maybe 1.5. And where I suppressed it, as it when I completely just left the situation, left the household. When I suppressed it, I didn't know anything about it till I started having dreams when I was in college. So I was like, what are these? What is happening? And it wasn't until I went to therapy and it's all started coming back. So it left me in a mode like, at first, if it wasn't for the therapy sessions, and it was like a group of us, and if it wasn't for that, I think I would have gone the route that it was my fault and there was some shame. See, and I don't have, when I say the words and I say I've been molested, I was molested for over a decade by my stepfather, it rolls off my tongue like that because it had nothing to do with me, meaning it wasn't my fault. I have nothing to be ashamed of.
Amen.
Nothing to be ashamed of. And it made trusting people difficult because the people that were supposed to protect me and be on my side and be there for me weren't. That was my mother. My brother, on the other hand, he was always, fighting a good fight. But I think that's why in my life, and April, you know me better than anyone really on the call. I often say I'm forgotten because I don't like to be in the forefront. I'm always like in the back. I'm supportive role. I've been a leader in my career the majority of my life, but I'd rather take a I don't know, because I just feel like people, when you get vulnerable, they use it against you. Instead of the empathy and grace, it's always envy and nastiness, even in such tumultuous stories. And they weaponize it, I guess. Is that the correct? And it just, and not being from the area always made it hard. I'm from Florida. I know these ladies and the gentlemen on the call from the organization and just, building relationships. But when they don't know you and you've had this it's hard to talk about it, to really share it and be vulnerable. Yes. So when it comes to relationships, my second husband, he was abusive, but he wasn't abusive until after the wedding. He did everything, said everything he needed to say to get what he wanted. Once I told him what my trauma was, I feel like he used that. People mistake my kindness for weakness because I am a very kind person. But people may often mistake my kindness for being weak. I don't like confrontation. I say what I have to say and then I move on from it. I don't dwell on things. But my ex-husband, he would just be mean for no reason, almost testing me. And I only realized that now. Was he testing me to see what he wanted me to fight back and argue back? I just don't have it in me. If that's how you feel, that's how you feel. But that was his burden to bear, because his trauma. He found out at his mother's funeral that his father wasn't his father, that was his stepfather, and that's why he was treated so badly all of his life, because that wasn't his real father. So trauma, what do they say? Hurt people.
Yes.
So, I'm in a whole journey now where now it's just, I don't make excuses for things I don't want to do with people, meaning men. Hey, you want to go? No, I don't want to go. Why? Because I really am just not interested. I did get on a call when we were talking, and you were talking about swiping left and swiping right. Listen, we could all say we want to know the insides and the outsides, but guess what? If there's two packages on a table, one is beautifully presented and one got dirt and crap, no one's going to the dirt and crap. That could have $1 million inside.
Yeah.
But you got to also take care of the outside and have the outside presentable. Now, I'm not talking, I don't mind a little gut. to be honest. Gotta have something to hold on to. But sometimes it's your energy. You know, some of the most unattractive people can have that energy that just draws you to them.
Amen.
I mean, I'll take an ugly man anytime. As long as you nice and you got good energy, you could be okay, maybe not butt ugly, but you know, I don't mind that because that means A, listen, that means A, you ain't gonna be running around. Cause don't listen, you out here, I'm good. But John was like, yeah, you take off the eyelashes. That's why I don't be wearing girdles. Listen,
Show me
you gonna
what
get
you
all these
look
bumps,
like in the
bumps
morning
and
when your breath is
lumps.
stinking,
This is
when the
it.
room is hot. You know,
Right,
show
right,
me that.
right,
Show me
right.
the real
Well, yeah,
you.
when you
Don't show
outside,
me
I'm
what
sorry, we gotta be
But I
all
don't need
that.
it
presentable
on
and
the
take it
first
all off.
date. Yeah, I don't want you to show me all that in the first date. Let me
But you know
get your
what?
energy first.
No, show me that on the first date. I know what the hell I'm about to get into.
John, you don't want me to start talking Roger because I need listen, as a woman, I don't care what they talk about. Oh, it's a little motion in the ocean. Listen, you can't put a pencil in a cup and talk about we gonna hit the sides. We ain't got no time for that. Okay? We do not have time for that. Let's tell it what it is. You already know it's this big. You can't do nothing with that. So what do you need to talk about it? We don't have these grown-up conversations. Sex, is it important? It's important. Is it the will it break everything? No.
No.
But there has to be the
Mm.
conversation, ma'am. Listen, I'm not really that in doubt, but y'all want to talk about this, that, and the third. And then I feel, ladies, let me just ask y'all a question. Don't you feel sorry for some time when they can't, if it's small, it's small. Nothing you could do about it. I feel bad for
There's
men
some
like
things
that.
we can do about it. There are people that I know that have gone and got medical interventions. Yes,
Yeah,
that is
you have to go, but that's a lot. That's
Yeah,
a
that,
lot.
that, that, that costs a lot of money. But
the brain
Lana, I
intervention.
got to tease you.
Wait,
Hold on a
hold
second.
on. Mark, go ahead.
Now, Lana, I got to tease you and everything because I also
I got
know
a good
that
sense of humor.
I got to
Yeah.
tease Lana and everything because I don't know Lana. I'm just meeting her for the first time. But there's a lot of men that brag on themselves and not just their physical endowment, but they also brag on their skill level and everything like that. And it does
Woo!
take a
Talk
certain
about it.
amount of skill level and everything like that. But a lot of men, let's be honest, don't have any idea. I'm just going to be graphic and everything where the hell the clit is and everything like that. So there a lot of men don't even know
Oh, well,
where the
see,
hell it is.
um,
But they got
let
people
me,
that want to brag on their skill sets.
You just got to be sexually
let me.
compatible, Mark. It's okay. It doesn't matter about sometimes it's the person that you like them. It ain't all about that. So the thing is, it's compatibility.
I don't know about that.
You know
Because
what?
Mark,
Listen,
he
listen.
Dean. So that question was posed to
I
Lana,
have
and then we would
that.
jump in.
Yeah, go
Oh,
ahead.
I'm sorry. Listen, all I'm saying is I'm one of them people, and my girlfriends who know. Listen. I'm gonna tell you exactly what I want. You gotta train or teach a person, men and women, what you like and what you don't like.
Exactly.
Listen, you're nowhere near the clit, man, sir. That's my lip. All right. You need to open that up. I don't have a problem telling you exactly what I want
That's
because
right.
a closed mouth never gets fed. If I don't know you prefer, you know me to be around your balls as opposed to in the shaft. You gotta say it, babe. Look, stay from around there. That's no good. Stay right here. Tell me what you want because the ultimate, the thing here is I want to please you and you want to please me. Ain't no sense in me sitting here like this thinking about the laundry because you down there nowhere near the clit, nowhere near. Nothing is gonna be exciting. All right. What is that? No, sir. Go to the left. Right there. And when a woman says stay right there, damn it, stay there. Don't go left. Don't go right.
Well, the
Stay
problem
right there.
sometimes is they don't want to release themselves, and they just mess the whole game up. So that's just
They don't want to what?
They're being selfish. So the point is you have to have that love language when it comes to the physical. So when they say stay right there, that means they're probably about to release, and they're going to blame it on you in some cases. So we just got to be honest about that.
Well, I think what she was saying too, though, is the communication factor.
Exactly.
Right?
Exactly.
The conversation needs to be had, and this is what we were talking about in the beginning of this conversation, our last 2 weeks ago, and now communication is the basis of everything, and that goes
everything.
Relationships. When you are traumatized by something, if your partner is able to trust that they can talk to you about something that traumatized them their entire life, it wasn't meant for you to use as a weapon later.
Right.
That's not what this is. But there are people that are so damn broken that they take that and say, oh, because I'm hurting, you gonna hurt now. Then why are you in this relationship? You're not here for being in companionship with someone. You're there to hurt that person. So then you gotta know when to let that person go, because what they're doing now is becoming an anchor. And guess what they're also doing?
And a vessel for negativity. Yep.
They're re-traumatizing you. So they're not helping you. They're actually hurting more. So then you got to get to the place where you have to say, you are no longer going to be a factor in my life. You have to go, because you cannot endure that any further, because you have to think about this. Your trauma, as I stated before, it is actually an anchor on your life. It weighs you down so far that you begin to forget what happened to you, or you suppress it. So you don't want to tap into that area unless you know, like Lana said, you go into therapy. Now you're beginning to build it and bring it back up so you can purge it off of you, because it's lived with you so long that you have to begin to release it. So again, I go back to what communication looks like. And I know Dean want to say something and Blue might want to say something too. So I'm gonna be quiet now. So
and excuse me, Dr. Diamond, I don't need to be abrupt. I have an event at 2:00, so I have to prepare myself. So I just wanted to say goodbye. Thank you so much, Lana, for sharing. As we know, we're going to have more conversation on that, because the healing, I had to go through the therapy as a child and get myself back in order to. So that's how we missed that part. But thank you, everyone. I'm going to be listening while I'm getting ready, and have a blessed day. And I'm so glad we had this topic. We might have to have a part 3 on this. That's what I vote for.
Thank you. See ya. Okay, so Dean and Blue, do y'all have anything to say based on what Lana just shared? She went through trauma. That trauma was used against her. And we talked about, what is a person doing here? Like this person becomes into survival mode. And I can't speak for Lana, but I'm pretty sure she had to get into survivor's mode in that relationship, where now this person has used her trauma against her, and also elevated to using physical abuse towards her. So what do you guys think?
Go ahead, Blue.
I would like, anytime you find yourself having to use, you have to cope with being in a relationship because of trauma. Why would you continue to re-traumatize yourself in that relationship? That doesn't sound like that's healthy to be in if it's going to continuously hurt you. When somebody weaponizes your story, weaponizes your pain against you in order to get an even playing field, or to hurt you as they experience hurt. Well, if you're here to hurt me, then you're not here to be with me, to help me, to empower me, to comfort me. If you're not my safe place, then why would I continue to put myself in a place where I'm not emotionally safe? And that's all I really have to say about that. I know a lot of times it's about finances, like with my grandmother. It's probably more of a financial thing. She knew he had an outside family, like how Dean Geronimo had said in regards to how families might have navigated themselves in their lifetime. He's talking about a family across town. Well, my grandfather was bold enough to have his family right next door, that he built their house for them, you know what I'm saying? Named his son from that family directly after him as a junior. So he was truly bold, and my grandmother dealt with that. I say all that to say this. A lot of times they had to choose to stay in those relationships because they was their husband, their spouse, whatever, was the breadwinner. We don't have that no more. In fact, Black women are economically way more advantageous than Black men in many cases, so that they can choose their own path. And honestly, with that mind state, that is also causing disruptions in relationships because norms have not really been established, and we don't understand what way to go and who's who and who's what. Gender norms have to be recalibrated, and I don't think society has done a good job in regards to that.
Dean?
We learn how to play this game backwards. You know, a lot of times relationships start with the sex part. So then that's where the relationship is initiated and it's built. And those relationships built on that, you have nothing else. When the sex starts to fade, you better have something to take its place. Because if you don't, you'll always be running around looking for, it's like a crackhead. A crackhead will hit that pipe the first time and then spend 20 years looking for that first hit that they'll never find again. And we're not taught to just mutual respect. You know, guys are taught that when a woman says no, she really means yes, and things like that, where she means no. No means no, dog. And I don't understand in your mind, but if they're taught that from a younger age, then they grow up thinking that that's the normal, to treat someone less than, to make themselves seem bigger than what they have, when in reality, it's a lot of stuff that they're missing. But if I can make you feel worse than I do, guess what? I'm going to dog you out every day because I have nothing. And once I'm exposed, I'm embarrassed. And unfortunately, it's done that way. It's done that way both ways. It's done based on money. You don't have enough money for me. Well, I didn't try to get my money for you anyway. So you know what? Take your begging ass on where you got to go. You know what I mean? And it's just, sometimes you have to tell, the women have to tell them dudes, if all you got is dick, keep it moving, because there's a whole lot of dudes out here. You know what I mean? It's not like you are the only one. And like one of my homeboys used to say long time ago, and shout out to Hollywood, he said, it don't matter how many lies you tell a woman, and you could go all night after 50 pumps, you about to fade. And you know, people are always make themselves appear that they're much better than, and in the impression stage, you're worried about how you can big yourself up. But damn it, you better come and deliver when you talk all that trash, because the smart person doesn't talk. They show you what they could do. A fool will tell you everything about a world that they can show you. A man will take you to that world and won't say a damn word.
Hey, Dave,
you know,
that's
so
that's part of the problem, though. And I know a lot of probably can relate to this as well. But there's a lot of guys that are out there that have this mindset that they can talk a good game, and just because you talk a good game don't mean you just can deliver that good game and everything like that. And I'm sure Blue can relate to this as well. But there's a lot of brothers that are really big in part of their dating ritual, and that whole notion of it used to be called telephone sex, now it's called sexting and everything like that. So they can talk a good game. They can tell you everything that they're going to do in terms of delivering. But then when it comes to actually doing the deliverance and all along those lines, they can't back their game, because you can talk a good game. You can read enough penthouse forums to know what the game is and everything like that. But can you actually deliver and everything along those lines?
Right.
So guys, I'm going to play this clip. It's about 7 minutes, but we are not going to watch all 7 minutes. We're just going to watch some of it. And then
I think it's the first 2 minutes, Doc.
The first 2 minutes? Okay.
It's like so the first 3 minutes or so.
Okay, so we'll watch the first 3 minutes. We'll reflect on it, and then we will begin to give our, feedback, and then we will end the show. So here we go, guys. Let's see what's going on here.
Oh, my shit, bro. What is y'all talking about? I don't give a fuck if I get food stamps or not. Since I gotta go, I'm taking all my shit and my food. Y'all ain't keeping my shit. I don't give a fuck about none of you sons of bitches in here. Y'all gonna go home. Fuck with me. Man, I need my butt. I need everything. Fuck is you talking about, bro? You didn't buy everything. My meat? Man, I don't give a fuck. This shit came off my link card. It's my oranges and everything. Fuck is wrong with you, bro? You mad? Those oranges came off. Man, I don't give a fuck. If I gotta go, all my shit I bought gotta go. Fuck is you talking about, bro? Pizza bites, waffle. Every fucking thing. You sit here mad because you cheated on me. Corn, fuck is wrong with you?
You cheated on me.
Man, so what? Mind your motherfucking business next time. Fuck is you talking about?
So
I gotta stay up here in the fuck office. I gotta go all my shit leaving, bro.
So your kids gotta
fuck
go
is you
home.
talking about, bro?
Your
That's on you. At this point, fuck it. Since you want to be so invested in what the fuck I got going on, figure out how they gonna eat.
Hear this dude on the phone talking about, I told you if you come to my house, I'll buy you some food. Right. And so he going back and forth. I'm pretty sure it's a girl on the phone. And so the girl must be saying like, no, but you can bring me some food, right? Because then I hear him say, I told you if you come to my house, I'll get you some food. It's a burger joint. Okay. Ain't nothing over on the menu over $13 fucking dollars. Now he's talking about, oh, so what, you just want to use me for food? He was white, and not that that's important, but for some reason, a lot of black women think that the other races don't act like our men. There's all of them. Okay, every fucking last one of them. Don't matter where you go. You just gotta be on your shit and don't accept no bullshit. Okay, but you trying to get the.
Here we go. So we're gonna stop it right there. So what did you all observe this man is doing? Now I'll just say my piece and then you all can pick up from here. Obviously he was mad. You can clearly see that. He taking food out of the house, putting it in the trash bag. He's so livid. And then she says and reveals to everyone, you just mad and you taking the food because you cheated. And then you have the other lady commentating that, you know, that he's pretty much trying to get her to come over to him for the food. So I don't know what type of relationship this is, but this is one where I would recommend them to part. I'm sorry, because I'm a forward therapist and I would tell them, do you really think this is a healthy relationship? And if you do, list what is healthy in this relationship, and then I'm going to give you some feedback, because there's no way this relationship is healthy by any means. This is all about what one person can gain from the other. That's what
that
I
wasn't
see.
healthy at all, and all along those lines. But I did read some of the subtext in that conversation because it was on the video and everything like that. And I've been in those situations before, because it seems like this was a relationship where the person had children and everything like that. So he's taking stuff. So it also is going to be the impact of how that's going to impact the children in the relationship as well. Because if you get into a relationship and there are children in the relationship, they have oftentimes adopted you as part of their family. Not saying that every relationship like that you're going to be their father figure, because they already, in many cases, already have a father, and they should be dealing with the father for the father and everything like that. But there are some women out there that are trying to get a father figure in their child's lives, and then if you start pulling out the food and everything else that you've got in the house and everything like that, then you're leaving a void in those children's lives. So I was also wondering about the impact for the kids, because I did read the subtext in that video, because it was like some writing there that talked about this being a situation where there were kids involved as well. So I was wondering about the subtext with the kids involved as well, because that is something that even I've mentioned on this show before. I sometimes I don't regret, because I find ways to keep in touch with them, because in some cases they were even part of my musical family and all along those lines. But there are some relationships that I will probably never have again, because they have not in my life anymore. Whether that was because they were in my life because of my brother's relationships with the mother of the children, because he dated some women that had children as well, or where they were relationships that I had in my own relationships and everything like that. So there are sometimes that you can maintain contact with the kids if both parties agree to it. And sometimes I've even gone back to some of those friends, and we've become friends even if we realized the relationship wasn't a good relationship, and I've learned as to what their kids are doing. So I do try to stay in their life if it's nothing but learning to how they are progressing in their life as they go into adulthood and everything like that. But not everybody is me. So not everybody's going to do that or want to do that and everything like that. But I do know that that can impact, because even my own mother will sometimes ask about past friends that had kids because she got to know those kids and everything like that. So they became part of her family. In some cases, they almost became like pseudo grandkids and everything like that. So that is part of what this kind of shock to the system can do to any kind of those relationships.
Anyone else? What you think of his behavior? It was very childish, but anyway, anyone else?
It was definitely childish.
I'm gonna say a complete idiot, because you know what? If that's all, you don't have a lot of shit when you taking it out of the refrigerator. Like, yeah, I'm gonna take my food back. Well, take your damn food and keep it moving, dog. You cheated on her. Now you mad because she called you on it? Man, take that. Go sleep in the car wherever you gonna live, and have at it. You know what I mean? Because he believes that that's a condition of him staying, that he could do what he wants. Nah, it doesn't work like that. Like, who's gonna put up with your crap? Nobody has to. So if you don't like it, take your little food. I hope you choke on it, because you took all of the food and nothing to drink. So when it clogs up in your throat, dog, you're gonna be all right with your attitude. You know what I mean?
Hey, before we get to Blue, I gotta tease everything, because this isn't just male-female relationships, because I've had friends of mine in our relationships where there's been roommates and they've done the same thing and everything like that, because a lot of times people are possessive about what they put into the relationship and everything like that, so they will take it out if it's theirs. But you also got people that are a little bit too freewheeling with what is being put in the refrigerator and everything like that, because you got some people that are like, I bought it, it's mine, and you got some people that will also kind of like think that the refrigerator is a communal refrigerator and not really doing enough to supply things in the refrigerator. So that's the other thing that I don't know what was going on in this particular situation, and we only know what we saw from the video, because it was a case where they were providing the bulk of the food and everything like that. Then yeah, they might be like, look, I'm taking my stuff because you've not been doing anything in the nature of the relationship. And I've even seen this in friend roommate situations. I'm sure Blue's seen it as well, where people will do the bulk of the buy-in and everything like that, but everybody in the house thinks that they got rights to it.
Yeah. You two, what do y'all think, Blue and Lana, about his actions?
I got nothing. I'm so confused.
I blame the woman.
There's so many unanswered questions.
Yeah,
I got so many questions.
Yeah. But I blame her for laying down with him. I blame her for that stuff. I blame her for him and soul tying herself to him. All fault lies on her.
Because he had said that before. He said that shit last month.
Oh my God. Well, see, Blue, we only saw like a few minutes.
Okay,
see,
that was go ahead, Lana.
I don't know. I always look at things in totality. So we saw a small portion. We don't really know what triggered him. She could have cheated on him. He could have cheated on her after. We don't know any of those questions. But
she said it. She said it. You cheated on me. You want to take the front. You want to take the food.
But that's just what she said. That doesn't mean that's what it really is.
He said he got the food on the welfare card.
He didn't say he got the welfare card. He sure did. He went in.
He got the food on the welfare card.
Well, it could have been a point where he bought the food and she might have had a friend or some dude over there eating his food. I would have been like, oh, y'all not eating my food either. Listen, I'm going to take me and my food and we about to go. I don't know. There's too many questions for me. And to know me is to know, I got way more questions than I got answers until I see everything. I need all the information to really, because people, I think that's what we do. We jump to, not saying that everybody's jumping to conclusion, but we take a small snippet of a situation and we've already drawn all these conclusions. He might have already had the drinks in the car, John, already before they started filming.
You know what?
So he ain't gonna choke.
You know what my
He
mama used to
ain't gonna
say?
choke. He got the Kool-Aid
Listen,
already in the car.
with no ice cubes. Look, my mom used to say this: it only takes a couple of minutes to find out if somebody's a fool. It don't take all day.
Listen, she knew that long before this happened.
That's
I'm
what
sure.
Blue
Like
said.
you said.
But that's what Blue said. Blue said it's her
Exactly.
fault. She let him get away with that for the last 6 months.
But I bet you he know where the clit is. I can tell you that.
He probably
He
do.
know where
He
that
probably
is.
do.
He know where it is. That he don't spend his money with his little fool card. He know where that
Yes,
clit is.
He was upset.
That's
But
why he's
on
still
her
there.
or on the girl he was cheating with, which one?
Both.
Yep.
Both. That's why she's still there.
There you go.
That's why she's still there.
Blue, that's why she ain't left. She dickmatized.
Oh Lord.
And food,
I
and
never,
food time.
when we were talking about my trauma, it wasn't a physical thing. It was
Right.
a control thing. And that was harder for me to come out of than anything. He was 10 years older. So I was like, you know what? He should know, the good. No, that didn't even matter.
It didn't matter. It's just him.
Yeah.
Yes.
So I've seen some women still stay with people, just be like, why are you still with this person? But you realize control, and that might be why she was still with him, because he had them food stamps.
Could be.
He had that car to feed them kids.
That's right. That's right. So I'm going to ask this last question, and this will be our closing remark question. And I will go around to each one of you. I will be the last to reflect on this question. This question is, what would relationship look like if we led with curiosity instead of calculation? So D, I'm gonna start with you first. What would that look like?
How would that look like? That would look like a man getting a young lady's phone number and telling her that in the new millennium, women take the man out, get a number, and then don't call her for 3 weeks, and then finally call her back, and they finally get to know each other, and here we are 25 years later. That's what it looks like to me.
You know what? Yeah.
That sounds like a Lifetime movie. You need to stop.
Okay.
You know what? I'm gonna make you executive producer. We gonna put it on Tubi bootleg. That I got the other one, Command Presence. It's on April 1st every year.
Oh my goodness! Wow. All right, so Lana, same question for you. What would relationship look like if we led with curiosity instead of calculation?
Transparency. Total transparency. So when people always say, "Oh, I'm putting all my cards on the table," put them all on there. The jokers, the directions, the instructions, everything that came in that box. Put it there. I get tired of that's the being single, and I'm single, and we've talked about this. Being single in this area is horrible because everybody's married or is in a relationship. There are no single men here that are not in their 30s and still living with their mom. So total transparency. Tell me what it is so I could tell you what it is and what it's going to be and what I'm going to tolerate, what I'm not, because I don't have any problem telling you that. So transparency is key for me, which connects with communication and honesty and integrity, morals, all that. So, yeah.
Blue, for you? We lose Blue?
I would say that, and I mean, I agree with all points, but I believe that communication, that we don't necessarily know how to talk to one another, that I think communication needs to be improved in all aspects in all relationships. I always tell people all the time that communication is the Achilles heel of any relationship. That's any relationship you find yourself in, whether it's your family, romantic, business,
exactly.
It's always the Achilles heel. You could always draw it back to some form of communication. Oh, he cheated on me. Well, he didn't communicate his needs, or you didn't hear his needs. That likely was a thing. Or you didn't hear that he had unwanted, things that weren't being addressed. I say everything falls back on communication and improving communication. We're not taught it in our families. We're not taught it appropriately in school. Social media is definitely, if it did teach us, social media is definitely unlearning it. So I would say that we just need to really focus on learning how to communicate, learning how to talk to each other, learning to have discussions, real meaningful discussions, and not just fluff. I can see people all the time. I can say, if you calculate how much time you spend talking to your significant other or even your kids in a whole 24-hour period, you spend more time talking to your coworkers than you do with your own bloodline.
Thank you for
And,
that. So
and listening.
we lost Mark.
Listening.
We lost Mark somewhere, so he may not pop back on, but that's okay because Mark always has some wealth of information for us. But I'm going to go ahead and answer this question, and this will be my closing remarks for today. But I do want to thank everybody for popping on today, and we will see each other again, of course, in 2 weeks. And Blue, I'm actually going to piggyback off of what you're going to say, what you just said, because that is the foundation to all relationships is communication. So I'm gonna have you all wait up in the wings for me, and I'll see you all in a second. So as I answer this question like my co-host just did, communication, yes, it's very, very important. I think should be the foundation of all relationships. Getting to know a person, I like what Lana said too, transparency. You have to be transparent with the person. You can't just think a relationship is just going to materialize and fall into these, oh, well, this is going to happen, this is going to happen. You got to work for relationships. You have to work for it. It is not given to you. Respect is also earned in a relationship, and we have to respect people when they come in. Respect that people have other opinions. Respect that people grow up differently from you. Respect all of that. It's a package when someone comes to you, but the package shouldn't be a price tag at all. That should never, never happen. So when we are sitting here and it's a price tag with a person, that's concerning for me. It's about what am I gaining? So that is what we were talking about earlier with the giving and taking from another person. So I would say communication, honesty, respect, love, humor, all of those go together when we think about the relationship and how I answered that question. Now I did see Mark pop back in. I'm going to let him have his closing words, and then we will be done for the day. All right. Mark, I'm going to give you that question. The question is for our closing remarks is, what would relationship look like if we led with curiosity instead of calculation? How would you answer that for your closing remark for today?
No, relationship should always be about curiosity and all along those lines, but definitely it should be us being curious about our spouses, whether there's a relationship that we're already in or curious about a new relationship, and all along those lines. And definitely communication is vital in any relationship, whether that's a relationship in family or relationship in love and everything like that. But we need to find out that common ground, because I think that we're all looking for a helpmate in our life and everything like that. I know that's a phrase that people use often and everything like that, but I think that that's what we all want is a helpmate, and a helpmate is somebody that's going to be there to support you, but you're also there to support them as well. When I think of helpmates, I think of you and Dean, from what I've seen. And like I said, I've not physically met you, or Dean for that matter, but I have got to know y'all over these last couple of years, and y'all seem like a prime example of what a helpmate situation looks like. And I admire that about the way that y'all treat and respect each other, and the various works that y'all do, and the various organizations that y'all are in as well. So that's something that I think more people should be trying to build, and all along those lines. And definitely should have some common interests, but you can also have some separate interests as well. But you've been able to go and visit something that you're interested in, and that maybe Dean's not interested in, and enjoy it, and all along those lines. And you have to be able to go to things that are like-minded interests, but also maybe have some times that you are able to go and hang out with your girlfriends, and you can go hang out with his guy friends and everything like that. So I think that space is also very important as well. You got to have that. And from what I've seen in y'all's relationship, y'all have built that space where you have some space to give each other. So space is also important in everything. So communication and space are two things that I think are important in relationships and everything along those lines. So I'll just leave it at that.
Thank you so much, Mark. I have you wait in the wings. Okay. Well, like I said, my co-hosts, they all bring some value in this discussion that we had. What are you going to do for me? Part 2. So we had the opportunity to hear from myself and my co-hosts about answering that question. What does that look like? So I hope you had a takeaway from what we discussed today and 2 weeks before. It's a heavy topic. You know, sometimes you can bring this up with your friends, you know, throw that question out there and see what people think and how they relate to that question or not relate to that question, or what answers they may have to that question. But again, we always love you all here on the couch when you join us at 11 a.m. every other Saturday. So we thank you again for joining us here on the couch. Peace, love, and tranquility. And we will see you again in 2 weeks with another topic. Until then, take care of yourselves, and we'll see you then. Take care of everybody. Thank you. Have a good day.
Thanks so much for tuning in to another episode of On the Couch. I hope you enjoyed today's conversation and found it as enlightening and inspiring as I did. Remember, the stories and experiences we share here are just the beginning of a much larger journey. Don't forget to subscribe on YouTube, look for the notification on Facebook, and find us on your favorite podcast platform. Your support helps us keep the conversation going and reach more listeners just like you. Until next time, stay curious, stay kind, and keep the dialogue alive. Peace, love, and tranquility. Take care, and we'll see you on the couch.